If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine, and maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them, from disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Though it may be known as America's pastime, baseball has spread across the world. Though the MLB is trying to come back, there is still some money to be made overseas, and Greg Peterson is going worldwide to hit a grand slam for your bankroll. From the return of baseball in the States to daily KBO picks, all the bases covered on the Baseball Betting Podcast with Greg Peterson. So here is the International King of Swing.
Warm hello and welcome to the Baseball Betting Podcast with myself, Greg Peterson. We've got a great podcast for you today as we're going to be joined by a lifelong LG Twins fan, Anna Click. She's out there in the state of Texas. She does a lot of actual video game streaming for the MLB. She's been keeping up with a little bit of everything when it comes to KBO as well. So we're going to have a wide-ranging conversation with her, what all needs to happen for the MLB to come back with her being in the state of Texas, how it might be possible that we still get the three-tiered plan between Florida, Texas, and Arizona being the main three spots in which baseball is played, what's all going on with that, and so much more. So, gonna have a lot of fun with it in the second segment and in the final segment. As per usual, gonna give you a side total on every game on today's KBO betting board, or actually, I should say, Wednesday morning at 5:30 a.m. Eastern, 2:30 a.m. Pacific's KBO betting board as we touch them all. It is still weird for me to say that. First things first, though, something that is not weird. Always love being able to answer your Twitter questions. At gunit_81 is where you're able to fire them in. If you send these via DM, well, letters DM to me mean does not matter, but if you send these into the timeline, more than happy to give you guys an answer. And I know that there was a mutual question between a lot of different people. I know that a lot of you guys were asking me if there is any place that offers, will there be a run scored or not prop when it comes to the KBO? And I can tell you firmly, yes, I'm doing this podcast right around 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific. I do some editing, which is why it typically goes up more around 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Make sure it sounds all pretty, the upload and everything like that. But with that said, I can tell you right now that Circa does yes, no when it comes to will there be a run in the first inning? And I'll actually just give you the prices right now that I'm seeing. In the Tucson Bears versus NC Dinos game, the yes for that is minus 115. The no is minus 105. Hanwha Eagles versus KT Wiz, yes is minus 150. No is plus 130. Giants versus Kia Tigers, yes is minus 115. No is minus 105. Twins versus Lions, yes is minus 115. No is minus 105. And Wyverns versus Heroes, yes is minus 155. No is plus 135. So you have all those available to you. I don't know if there are other books that offer them. I've got to think that there might be a couple more. I know that Five Dimes has been offering first fives and team totals when it comes to the KBO as well. So you're able to find some advanced offerings when it comes to that. But as far as yes, no, will there be a run in the first inning? Circa has really been the book that I've seen do the most with that. So hopefully that answers your questions. If you ever have any additional questions, fire those into the timeline at GNR_D1. If you send them into the timeline, more than happy to give you an answer. DM to me means does not matter, but what does matter to me, always being able to take a look back and try to get to know these teams a little bit better. So let's look at what we saw from the KBO Tuesday morning as it was a slugfest. Try to get to know these teams a little bit better and just see how hot these overs are.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
Since Saturday morning, overs in the KBO are now 8-2. It is absolutely ridiculous what we've been seeing with these games as a team scored 9+ runs in 4 out of the 5 KBO games on Tuesday morning. And our good friends, the KT Wiz, aka the Smiling Bobs, they certainly were able to put up a whole bunch of runs. They had 13 runs by the time the end of the 5th inning concluded, and Hanwha very nearly pulled off the comeback with a 9 spot in the 7th inning. But the Hanwha Eagles, who had played one game in which a total went north of 9 between both teams, winds up losing to the Smiling Blobs 13-11. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. And this is with Jared Hoying, the American-born position player for Hanwha, out of the fold. Lee Sung-yeol was really the guy that was able to get things going for Hanwha. He wound up hitting a home run in this one. You also had Lee Ha-chang go deep. He was actually a pinch hitter in this one. He had a $125 last year, ironically enough, for the Smiling Blobs in a little bit of a platoon role, but he was able to go deep in this one. And then for our good friends of Smiling Blobs, how about Kang Baek-ho becoming one of the better players that we're seeing in the KBO? Hitting a 367 this year. Guy is only 20 years old. He is tied for the league lead with 5 home runs. He hit one yesterday. Kim Min-hook wound up going deep as well. He had 3 RBI in this one. And what we saw was just a comedy of issues for Hanwha when it came to the pitching. Im Jun-seop, he now has an ERA of a 14.29 as he just got completely plastered. He went 3 innings. He gave up 6 runs, all of which were earned. And that was after starter Jang Shi-hwan, who was doing a very good job prior to the start. He had an ERA hovering right around like a 3.5. He winds up just getting lit up like a Christmas tree. 3 innings pitch, gives up 7 runs, all of which were earned. William Huivas, the starter for the Smiling Blobs, he had not necessarily a great start, but it wasn't terrible. 6 1/3 innings, he gives up 4 runs, all of which were earned, and then the bullpen from there for the Smiling Blobs, which has been less than stellar this year. 2 2/3 innings, they give up 7 runs, all of which were earned. Yep, bullpen pitching is an issue. We're going to be talking to Ann about that in the second segment, and her favorite team, the LG Twins. They wind up knocking out the Samsung Lions by a count of 10-6. And speaking of big starts, the LG Twins, 7 runs in the first 2 innings of this game. David Buchanan wound up giving up all 10 of the Samsung runs as the Lions actually got 4 innings of relief out of the bullpen, giving up a great total of 2 hits and no earned runs. That's the exact opposite of what we've been seeing in the KBO. And Lim Cheng-gu wound up going 6 innings, giving up 4 runs for the LG Twins. Both from there, they wind up going a combined 3 innings and giving up 2 runs. And for LG, the big takeaway, Roberto Ramos. He is tied for the league lead with 5 home runs so far this year. He winds up going 2 of 3. He's hitting 400 so far this year. And you take a look at O.G. Hwan. He wound up going deep in this one. And this is how you know things are going just completely haywire. This is the guy that's hitting a $132 for the year. He winds up hitting a home run in this one. And then for Samsung, they wound up getting a pair of home runs in this one. Kuja Wook, he winds up getting a home run in this one. That is his first of the campaign. You gotta think that at some point he was gonna get going, and he was able to do so. Tyler Saladino was off the injured list in this one. He had as many hits as Greg Peterson, but how about Kang Min-ho? He winds up going deep, and this is someone that is certainly up there in years at age 34, but he was able to supply the boom on this day. He's still hitting just a $161, but Samsung was able to get in some good rips late in this game. The Kia Tigers, they were also able to get in some good rips. Seems like the Lotte Giants are starting to fall back to the pack as they wind up losing in this one by a count of 9-2. And for Lotte, this is a team that has now lost 4 out of their last 5 games. This after they wound up starting just absolutely blistering with a 6-1 start. For Lotte, they were able to get a couple of hits off the bat of Han Dong-hee, but past that, offense was really unable to get going. And for Kia, how about Preston Tucker being able to get another 2 hits? This is someone that he is tied for the league lead with 5 home runs, hitting a .449. He has been nothing short of magnificent, but the guy that went deep in this one, Na Ji Hwan, he winds up being able to supply a home run in this one. That is his third of the campaign, and he wound up having 6 home runs the entire 2019 season. Now, he was limited to only 56 games, but still, massive takeaway there. And how you know that these balls might be a little bit less than normal. How about Han Seong-tae? He winds up getting a home run in this one, his 7th career home run, and this is his 6th KBO season. And it's just absolutely insane. But for Kia, what you had to like for this team, Lee Min-woo, he wound up having a good start in this one. 6 innings, gives up 2 runs. He has been pretty solid for this team so far this year. He's got an ERA of a 4.86. That's actually down from his career ERA of a 6.81. Last 2 starts have been a little bit better as he's got back-to-back wins. Meanwhile, So Jong-won, he now has an ERA of a 7.20, 19-year-old kid that has some good stuff, but at the same time, he's having a little bit of a tough time putting it together. Gave up 3 bombs in this one, so certainly was not the best of showings there. Certainly was not the best of showings for the SK Wyverns as Ricardo Pinto wound up getting lit up by the Heroes, 11-6. Heroes were able to get the win in this one. And for the Heroes, they've sent Taylor Motter down to the minor leagues, but what they do have, Park Dong-won. He wound up going yard in this one. This is a gentleman that seems to be really getting it going. Now his third home run of the year. He had a combined 16 home runs his previous 2 years in the KBO. He has been able to heat up. And then when you take a look at Kiwoom, this is a team that was able to get only 2 2/3 innings from their starting pitcher in Choi Won-tae, but bullpen from there was very, very good. They wind up going a combined 6 1/3 innings, giving up just 1 run. They were doing a good job of being able to get some punch-outs as well. As a team, they were able to get 9 strikeouts in this game, so that was big for Kiwoom. And Mr. Ricardo Pinto, he has given up a combined 18 runs in his last 2 starts, and I will say this, 8 of them have been unearned. I mean, it's just absolutely terrible. If there is one saving grace for the Wyverns, it is the fact that they wound up getting 3 2/3 innings out of the bullpen, and they only gave up 3 runs. And for the Wyverns, they were also able to get a home run out of their leadoff hitter in Kim Kang-min. Has never really been much of a power hitter his first of the campaign, but they are going to need a whole lot more of this to be able to get going, as they are now 1-11, and we do have one team that's the exact opposite at 11-1. That'd be the NC Dinos. They knock off the Doosan Bears in the lone under that we saw in the KBO on Tuesday by kind of 5-4. And for the Doosan Bears, this was just a case of they blew the game. I mean, they had a combined 10 hits, 9 walks. They left the bases loaded 3 times. They left 2 men on base twice, and they just could not cash in. The starting pitcher for the NC Dinos, that would be Mr. Michael Wright. He wound up being able to go 5 innings in this one, went 115 pitches, gave up 5 walks, but he did not give up a single earned run. Bullpen from there, they wind up giving up a combined 4 earned runs, but they were able to do a good job of evading danger, and you got to give this to the Doosan Bears. The bullpen was pretty good in this one. They wind up going combined 5 innings to give up 1 run, but Lee Young-ha, he got in some trouble in the first inning. He wound up giving up 4 runs over the course of 4 innings, and how about Mr. Aaron Alterable going 1 of 6 for the NC Dinos? He's hitting 200. He's like the only guy on the NC Dinos that has not been able to get the job done. And Jose Miguel Fernandez, got to feel like a little bit of regression is setting in from. He went 1 of 5, but is still hitting 453 for the year. So that's what we all noticed from the KBO on Tuesday. Now coming up next, we get a little bit of an LG Twins perspective. We're going to be talking to Anna Click about what she's noticed with watching the KBO these first few weeks, just how bad some of these bullpens have been, and what she thinks about the possible restart for the MLB season, and so much more. That is on the other side, right here on the Baseball Betting Podcast with myself, Greg Peterson.
Greg is calling in a pinch hitter from the Overtime Network hotline.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Podcast with myself, Greg Peterson. Great to have on our next guest. We've had so many people on this podcast that they've jumped on the NC Dinos bandwagon. I personally have found my team because the KT Wiz, their mascot looks like a smiling blob. So on this podcast, we call them the Smiling Blobs. But now we go out and we talk to an LG Twins fan. You can follow her on Twitter at AnnaClick22, as we do have Anna Click joining me right here on the podcast. And Anna, it is great to have you on. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much.
Great to have you on. And first things first, how did you wind up becoming a fan of the LG Twins? Because like I just mentioned, you got a lot of people, they're picking a variety of different teams. I feel like a lot of people jumped on the Dinos because, for one, Swole Daddy has a great mascot, and 2, they were on a lot of those early ESPN broadcasts of the KBO. But I know you found the LG Twins, and they're on a good run.
Yeah, so I did like some quick little article reading, and they compared the LG Twins to like pre-2004 Red Sox. So as a Red Sox fan, I was like, I have to go with them. Their fans are really faithful, but they're super critical about everything they do. So I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds like something I would do. So
I love it. And they've been having a pretty good year, like I mentioned. This is an LG Twins team that got off to a little bit of a rough start to begin the year, but ever since then, they've really been holding down the fort. And what do you think has been one of the biggest keys for the LG Twins? Because I think that they're in a good spot tonight with Tyler Wilson going on the mound. He got roughed up in his first time out, but against the SK Wyverns in his last start, he looked very good. And what I think is going under the radar for the LG Twins is the fact that Kim Hon-soo wound up playing in the MLB for the Baltimore Orioles and also the Philadelphia Phillies during like the 2015-2016 seasons, and he's been doing a great job of ripping the cover off the wall.
My favorite player is probably Ramos. I think he's been really fun to watch. We say a lot, like the party doesn't get started with the LG Twins until they're down like 5 or 6 runs. And that seems to be the case, that they really like coming for a comeback. They like being clutch. So it's exciting.
And what we noticed with Roberto Ramos so far, 5 home runs. I believe that's tied for the lead in the KBO. He's hitting 400. It's amazing. And you mentioned the comeback with the LG Twins. I remember that game against the Dinos. I think that, ironically enough, it was Wilson that was on the mound for that one. Might have been the next game, but I remember they got down big. They were down 6-0 at the end of the first inning, and then they were able to make that comeback. And I think we both agree. We both have watched a lot of Major League Baseball. We've seen a bunch of bad bullpens, but I would say the KBO is like next level bad when it comes to these bullpens, because
they're pretty awful.
right now, the team with the best bullpen ERA going into Wednesday morning's games is the Samsung Lions. And I do think that you're right. The games really don't get started until a team is down like 3, 4, in some cases 5+ runs. And I actually do think that that is a good asset for the LG Twins as well. They might not have the world's greatest bullpen, but it certainly is above average compared to what we're seeing with some of these teams, especially the KT Wiz, my beloved Smiling Blobs.
The only team that I think is just like well around in every single area is going to be the Dinos. Unfortunately, I think that's our like deemed rival at this point. They just seem to have everything going pretty well for them. I haven't really looked into their bullpen specifically, but I think all around, just any category, they're killing it right now. They're just stacked.
Everyone is good on them except for the man that we call on this podcast, Aaron Altero, who's sitting at 200. We all remember him from his days with the Philadelphia Phillies. And I do think it is so interesting that we get to see some of these guys that used to be in the MLB, like Aaron Altero. Taylor Motter got sent down to the minors with the Kiwoom Heroes. I'm someone that I used to cover the Seattle Mariners when he was on the team in 2016. I saw this coming as the guy hit below 200 at Double-A last year. I think we're really seeing some of the teams that they brought in these good American players, like Roberto Ramos for the LG Twins. He's someone that, with the Colorado Rockies organization, I felt like should have gotten a little bit more of a shot. He was sitting right around 300. Very good power. For some reason, he winds up signing in the KBO. And as a result, we're seeing the LG Twins go on this good run right now. The Dinos have done a good job, not with Mr. Altero, but rather the 2 American-born pitchers that they brought in. And I really think that that's what's right now making it boom or bust for a lot of these teams.
Right. I mean, the LG Twins, they have Casey Kelly and Tyler Wilson. I just haven't seen a lot from them. So that's kind of disappointing.
Hey, we do have a guy in the KBO that's pitching tonight in Drew Gagnon that we remember from the New York Mets as well. This is just a signing that I thought had disaster written all over it. He enters with a 6.10 ERA, and I actually do think that it is going to be one of these things in which we really see the guys that might be able to get themselves back in the MLB action. Dan Straley is going to be going for the Lotte Giants. I'm sure that being a Boston Red Sox fan, you remember good old Dan Straley with his whole year with the Baltimore Orioles, and he's actually been decent. I mean, he's got a 2.12 ERA. He somehow got 11 strikeouts in a start against the SK Wyverns. Speaks to how bad they are. No, not at all. The Wyverns right now have one more win than myself and you. But with that said, we are seeing these teams that they've done a good job of being able to sign these American-born players. I do think that that's going to be a big difference maker moving forward.
Right. Well, they can only have 3 foreign players, correct? Only 2 pitchers and 1 position player.
Correct.
So, and then I did read that they de-juiced the balls in 2019, so that helped a lot with the pitching numbers, like just leveling out like pitching versus slugging, because I think like average for like the league ERA was like in the 5s. Just everybody was just up there, and now it's down to like the 4s. Not great, but better. I don't know if they're going to keep that. They're still getting really high-scoring games. They're fun to watch. Magnificent bat flips.
And what I think is interesting is we heard this on ESPN during the Tuesday morning broadcast. The home run rate last year in the KBO was 1.4. The year before that was 2.4. This year, going into Tuesday, it was somewhere in the middle, right around 2.1. So maybe a sort of split the difference sort of situation. But I know that some of the folks that were doing the broadcast, they were saying that velocity was down a little bit this year. Maybe there's a little bit less adrenaline due to fans. But I actually think that this is not totally unexpected, because what we see in Major League Baseball typically, and we saw it, I feel like, really in form with Zach Greinke during the 2019 season. velocity for just all these starting pitchers at the beginning of the year, it typically is a little bit down, but typically paired with that, you have a little bit more crisp weather. With starting the season in the middle of May, you don't necessarily have those cold temperatures whenever you're playing at, like, say, a Fenway Park. I'm a Milwaukee Brewers fan, the state of Wisconsin. It's not necessarily warm in April. As a matter of fact, you typically get snow in the month of April at some point in Wisconsin during April. And I think that has a lot to do with it. The fact that the velocity for these starting pitchers might be down a little bit more, but paired with that, you've got a little bit of a warmer start to the year than normal as well.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm from Texas, so it's like 99 degrees all the time. So it's like terrible to sit through games. Like Globe Life Park was miserable, so glad they got a roof on that bad boy. But
yeah. I am right there with you. And I'm someone that actually spent a summer out in Houston, Texas, so I know just how brutal that could be. As we know, Anna Click joining me right here on the podcast. And it is interesting that you bring up Texas because we have been hearing about the MLB trying to come back. We've got like the 100 million billion page dissertation of all the things that MLB players cannot do in the name of cleanliness and everything like that. And we've been hearing about all these different plans as to whether or not teams are going to be back in their home ballpark. We had that 3-tier plan in which games would be played in Arizona, Texas, and Florida. We had the Grapefruit League and the Cactus League, everything like that. Obviously, you and I both don't have the answers. This is way above our pay grade. But ultimately, if baseball comes back, which of those plans do you think is most feasible? Because I think that the 3-tier plan that was brought up a few weeks ago with having all the teams play in Arizona, Texas, and Florida, I think it still is plausible, even though these teams are trying to play in their home ballparks.
I mean, I can see it. Like, I remember the practice camp, like, facility situation. I don't think it's terrible other than, like, pulling players away from their families and then quarantining and all that. But then there's that whole issue with, like, taking 50% of their pay and then the 33%. I don't know. I didn't read all of it, but I don't know if it's going to be that difficult. I almost would just rather wait.
It's just going to be one of these things in which we're not going to have an ideal season regardless. We probably are going to get a universal designated hitter if there is an MLB season. And you got to think that there's going to be a whole lot more negotiations. You don't throw out there your best offer on offer number one. Everyone that's ever bid on something on eBay knows all about that. But it is going to be so interesting to see what happens. And I know that you mentioned that you're a Boston Red Sox fan. If there does wind up being a 2020 season, I actually think that the Red Sox might have a chance to do a little bit better than people think, because I think what lost on a lot of people during the end of the 2019 season is that because the Boston Red Sox were so banged up with the starting pitching, Rick Porcello was just absolutely awful throughout the entire year. Really, the only reliable starter there was Eduardo Rodriguez. Yeah. I mean, he was really the only guy that you could trot out there that was like, okay, this guy is going to give us a sustainable performance. And as a result, we saw the Red Sox going with a bunch of stars that would go 3 or 4 innings, and they were actually competitive in a lot of these games. And I feel like that might be translatable, because what I feel like is happening right now with baseball is that the players are going to be out of shape the most at the beginning of the year, much like we're seeing with the KBO. It's these starting pitchers that they really don't have a lot of elements at their disposal. It's hard to really get geared up, and you don't have many ways to be able to simulate a live game if you're a starting pitcher, and trying to go like 90 plus pitches is going to be a challenge.
Right. That makes sense. I just feel like this is going to be a rough year for the Red Sox if they come back. I think they'll do slightly better than we think they'll be doing. I think everyone's kind of bummed out about the trades on the off season, which were kind of painful. But I think Verdugo might be pretty good in the outfield and batting wise. So I think it's not a terrible pick. Kevin Pillar might be okay defensively. Things are looking up. You know, Crisel had Tommy John surgery, so I don't think he'll be back soon. But hopefully with Eovaldi, you know, maybe he's doing better. Erod is going to be in there. We have Matt Barnes. Fortunately, I give him a lot, but, you know, he's a lot better than I give him credit for. So.
Oh, yes. And I think that so many people forget just how bad Chris Sale was last year, too. So not having him for the entire year, it looks terrible on paper, but at the same time, the Red Sox didn't win any of his starts. So it's not as much of a subtraction as I feel like a lot of people are making of it. But Anna, what would be a subtraction is if people could not find you on Twitter. I know that you're doing some great posting. People can follow you at AnnaClick22. Just give the good people at home a little bit of an elevator pitch of what you're about and what you're all doing, because I know that you're doing a variety of different things, keeping up with the KBO every day, playing some fun video games and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just live tweeting the games. Not all of them. Some of them are like at 5 o'clock in the morning and I like to sleep. But yeah, I'm playing the shows. Sometimes I post some of those screen caps. That's been pretty fun. We're talking about doing like custom leagues and trying to stream those. So that would be really cool if people wanted to get in on that. I think that would be like really fun to do. Other than that, just tweeting about baseball news and making some jokes about the Astros cheating. So whatever.
Ah, yes. It's a very easy target, and I must say this. Kudos to you for getting an LG Twins hat for your dog. That is impressive.
It's Photoshop.
Darn it. I thought it was a legitimate photo.
Hey, I know they talked about on ESPN about maybe getting, I think it was Samsung Lions, unfortunately, but maybe getting some of their gear over. So maybe in the future we could get actual like gear over from over there. I think that'd be cool to get some international gear from the KBO. I think that'd be really fun.
I'd be all on board. Yes, someone give me a KT Wiz, aka KT Smiling Blob shirt. I will proudly wear it.
They have the best jerseys for sure. Like, they're pretty solid.
Yes, they do. I just need a picture of like Big Hero 6 on a shirt, and I could say, I'm a KT Wiz fan. So at the very least, I've got myself covered there. Great to get Anna on the podcast today. So big thanks to Anna Click for joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Podcast. And coming up next, it is that time in which I give you a side and total on every game on the KBO board, giving you some picks as we touch them all.
Welcome back to the Baseball Betting Podcast with Greg Peterson as we're off to a quality start, and now it's time to walk it off in a grand fashion.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Podcast with myself, Greg Peterson. Big thanks to Anna Click for joining me in the last segment, as it is now that time of the podcast, which I give you a side and total on every game on today's KBO betting board as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Note that any changes are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter feed at G_D1. As per usual, I always say this is a little bit different than betting on Major League Baseball, just because with the KBO, typically you are betting on the team and the team only, unless if you're using Pinnacle, you are unable to go pitcher dependent. So if, say, Dan Straley of the Lotte Giants gets scratched, well, you are still stuck with the Giants. So I do want to make that disclaimer. And as always, we're going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. And this begins with 304, 601, 304, 602. The Doosan Bears are going to be playing us the NC Dinos. We are seeing a little bit of a range of prices here. The Doosan Bears open up in the realm of even to minus 110. They have since been bet up. They are now anywhere between minus 120 and minus 140. That makes the Dinos anywhere between even money and plus 120. And your total on this game is 9. The over has just anywhere between minus 115 and minus 120. The under is anywhere between minus 105 and even. And this is a spot in which I've got to be taking a look at the Doosan Bears, because with the Bears, they are going to be having the man with the biggest guns out there in the KBO, at least when it comes to the name, and that would be one Chris Flexen. And for the NC Dinos, it is going to be Koo Chang Mo that is going to be going for them, and Mr. Chang Mo has been absolutely superb this year. He is 2-0. He has made 2 starts. He has won a combined 14 innings, not allowed a single run, 18 strikeouts. He is a young 23-year-old. You gotta think that there's going to be a little bit of regression. Last year, he was 10-7 out there in the KBO, so he certainly did a great job there, but I think the strikeouts are something that might be here to stay, because he had over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings last season. That is actually very, very hard to do in the KBO, but he also allowed the deep ball a little bit, right around a home run per 9 innings. That was with the ball completely dejuiced. He was also giving up more around 3.5 walks per 9 innings, so I do think that that's going to be in a little bit of a rise, and we know this, the Doosan Bears, they are leading the KBO when it comes to scoring on a per game average, and this is a team that prior to their game yesterday against the NC Dinos, they had played an over/push on the total in each out of their last 7 games. And for Doosan, you still have Jose Miguel Fernandez. He is hitting right around a 450. He has been absolutely terrific. And then you got to think think that Kim Jae-hwan along with OJ Il are going to be able to get things going as well when it comes to the power. With Jae Il, he's hitting a 400. He's went deep 3 times so far this year, had 21 home runs last year. And with Jae-hwan, this is someone that has went deep 4 times so far this year. 2 years ago, he had 44 home runs in the KBO. He had a 3-year stretch in which he hit 35 plus home runs in 3 straight seasons. So this is someone that's able to get it done. And then when you take a look at Doosan, among all the teams in the KBO, they are probably the best when it comes to 1 through 9, just all having consistent hitters. Meanwhile, with the NC Dinos, really your worst hitter right now is Aaron Alter, aka Aaron Alterable, who's hitting at 200. You even take a look at the 9 hitter, Kwon Hee-dong. He's hitting a 345 so far this year. He's already went deep once. That is just rock solid for this team. Park Min-woo does a great job of getting on base. He's hitting well above a 400. Even their catcher, Young E-ju, he was dealing with an injury a little bit towards the beginning of last week, but he is back in the fold. He is back to hitting right around a 300. Last 2 years has hit at least a 350. You gotta think that he's gonna continue to get the job done. And then Na-sung Bum. This guy is far from a bum, unlike his last name. 4 home runs so far this year. I had 4 all of last year, but that was due to the fact that he played in 23 games. Season before, wound up going deep 23 times. Looks like he's back to his old self. I do think that both these teams are going to be able to put some runs up on the board. I think that the Dinos are not necessarily going to get the longest of starts. I think that regression sets in for our good buddy Chang Mo. I think that Flexen is probably going to be looking like what he did in the first couple games. In his first 2 starts in the KBO, combined 3.75 ERA, went 6 innings in both of those games against the LG Twins and the Lotte Giants, combined 5 earned runs. I think that we expect more of the same, and he's been doing a good job of command as well. Just 2 walks in those first 2 starts. So for that reason, we are going to be taking the Doosan Bears, and we are going to be taking this total over as well. We move on to 304-603, 304-604. You've got yourself the Hanwha Eagles hitting the road to face off against the KT Wiz, or as we call them on this podcast, the KT Smiling Blobs. The Smiling Blobs are finding themselves as quite a bit of a favorite right now. You're seeing them right in the realm of between a minus 155 and a minus 165, with the Hanwha Eagles as anywhere between plus 135 and plus 145, and you're seeing a very ridiculous over-under when it comes to offshore. You've got a total on this game of 9.5 offshore, with the over at minus 145 and the under at plus 125. Meanwhile, if you're looking more at Vegas, over and under is at 10. The over is just anywhere between minus 110 and minus 115. The under is anywhere between minus 110 and minus 105. I wound up going with the under myself. I wish I would have been able to find that plus 125 before I fired it in, but I wound up taking the 10 instead, as it looks like for the KT Wiz, aka our good friends the Smiling Blobs, they are going to be trotting out their Bang Chase So as the starter, and Jang Min Jae is going to be going for the Hanwha Eagles. And when you take a look at the Eagles, they wound up putting up 11 runs on the board against the KT Wiz, aka Smiling Blobs, yesterday. But the 9 runs that they scored in the 7th inning of that game is just absolutely ridiculous. They had not scored 9 runs in a game all year long prior to that. And the combined runs that they had scored along with their opponents prior to that game had been 9 or fewer in all but one of their games. So I do think that regression is going to set in with the Smiling Blobs. They actually didn't have to use as much of their bullpen as you'd probably think. They wound up just going 2 2/3 innings out of the bullpen with the Smiling Blobs. Mel Rojas has been able to do a very good job with this team. He's hitting a 420. He's only got 2 home runs though. Last year, he hit 24. Year before that, he hit 43. So you got to think that the power is going to be coming back. But Sim Woo Jung along with Kim Min Hook have been doing a great job at the top lineup. Both these guys have had 2+ hits in 3 of the team's last 4 games. They seem to be really getting going. And Jo Hung Ho, he has been able to do terrific as well. He's hitting a 579 so far this year. He has never hit a home run in the KBO, but he just does a solid job of being able to find a way on base. So that's got to be very encouraging for this team. And then when you take a look at Hanwha, this is a team that's right now dealing with not having Jared Hoying out there in the fold. So as a result, you've been having to rely on some less than reliable outfielders. So I will say this, Jung Jin Ho, who hit just a 208 last year, sitting at 277 for the team. He's been able to have a little bit of a come up, but this is a Hanwha team that they are dead last in the KBO when it comes to home runs. When it gets to the bottom of the lineup, you just really don't have a whole lot of reliable options. Someone like a No Si Hwan, he's hitting a 125 so far this year. He is out there in the 8 spot. Jang Jin Hook, he is hitting a $167 in the 9 spot. I do think that the Smiling Blobs are going to be able to get a very good start in this one out of their man Bang Jae Song, who has been a little bit up and down throughout his career, but how about a 135 ERA in 2 starts so far this year? He's been doing a great job of command, and he's done it in a variety of different ways. First start, he had 1 strikeout. Last start, he had 7. He's got just 2 walks on the year. Meanwhile, Jang Min Jae, he has been able to do a solid job, a 3.0 ERA so far this year. He has been doing a nice job of just being able to cut down on the walks as well. Just 2 walks. I think that this is a lower scoring game. I think that the Smiling Blobs get the job done. So we're laying it here with the Smiling Blobs, and we're going to be taking this total under as well. 304, 605, 304, 606. You've got the Lotte Giants hitting the road to face off against the Kia Tigers. The Kia Tigers are fighting themselves as an underdog right now. You're seeing them at most books right around plus 110. You are going to find a little bit of variance, as I know that there is a couple books out there that have a plus 115. That makes Lotte anywhere between minus 130 and minus 135. And the total that you're finding on this game, it is 9. The over is anywhere between minus 110 and minus 120. The under is anywhere between minus 110 and even. And this is the spot in which I've got to be riding with the Lotte Giants, as they've got action Dan Straley hitting the mound. And then when you take a look at the flip side for the Kia Tigers, they are going to be sending out there Drew Gagnon. And Mr. Gagnon has been gagging on the fact that he is not very good. 6.10 ERA so far this year. We all remember his time with the New York Mets. Career ERA north of 8. This guy is not good, and that's putting it very politely. And he's not necessarily going to give you the best length in the world as well. He spent his time in the major leagues as a reliever. He actually did give a lot of starts to the Mets organization back when he was in the minors, but he was never really a length guy either. I will give him this. 14 strikeouts so far this year is very good, but what his big kryptonite is the fact that he gives up a lot of hard contact. Already 6 extra base hits given up so far this year. And then when you take a look at Dan Straley, he's made 3 starts and he's been very solid. He has went a combined 17 innings in those 3 starts, a 2.12 ERA, and he actually had a 10 strikeout game against the SK Wyverns earlier in the year. So I do like what he's doing there. With the Lotte Giants, they have been using their bullpen quite a bit, so I think that Straley is going to be able to give this team 7+ innings. With Kia, you do have a team that is starting to get a little bit better when it comes to the bats. Preston Tucker has been able to get 5 home runs for this team. He's hitting above a 400, so that has really been the big thing for this team. And with Lotte, the offense has been a little bit hit or miss, but Deo Lee has been able to get off to a solid start so far this year, despite the fact that he's 37 years old, hitting a 356. Power's not really been there, only 1 home run, but you gotta love what Dixon Machado has been able to provide for this team. He has already went deep 4 times so far this year. I will say he has been regressing quite a bit recently. He's got a grand total of 2 hits over the team's last 5 games after getting off to just a blistering start, but I think that this could be a good spot against a guy in Gagnon that, let's face it, he gives up a lot of hard contact, and both these guys, Machado and Gagnon, I have to think that they face off against each other quite a bit, because you had Gagnon with the Mets organization and Dixon Machado last year spent the season with AAA Iowa, so you got that parallel. And then you got Min Byung Hung, who at the top of the lineup for the Lotte Giants is hitting a little bit above a 300. He's got 2 home runs. You gotta love the versatility that he's able to give at the top of the lineup. And then for Kia, you gotta love what Jano Park has been able to do. One of the best gloves that you're gonna find in the KBO. He's hitting at 275. He's not a home run hitter, but he just does a good job of getting on base and has some wheels. 39 stolen bases last year. I do think that we are going to see Dan Straley probably go like 6 innings, give up 2 or 3 runs. I think that the Lotte bullpen is going to give up quite a bit, but I think that the Kia Tigers is going to have a bad showing, because I think that Gagnon is once again going to continue that ERA that's hovering right around 6. The bullpen has not been great for them, so I see a lot of runs in this game. We're going to be taking it over, and we're going to be laying it here with the Lotte Giants. We move on to 304, 607, 304, 608. LG Twins are going to be hitting the road to face off against the Samsung Lions. The Samsung Lions are finding themselves an underdog in this one, and that is anywhere between plus 140 and plus 155. Meanwhile, with the LG Twins laying anywhere between minus 160 and minus 175. And your total on this game, it is 9. The over and under are going to be varying, as you're going to see it on the over as low as minus 110, as high as minus 130, and the under is as low as minus 110 and as high as plus 110. So you certainly have a wide range when it comes to the juice there, and I do think that this is a good spot for LG to be able to get a win. We were talking with Anna about this team in quite a bit of depth. As for LG in this one, it is going to be Tyler Wilson taking the mound. Meanwhile, you've got Choi Jae-hong, who is going to be going for the Samsung Lions, who surprisingly have the best bullpen out there in the KBO, but I will say that Samsung has also had to eat pretty much the most innings of any bullpen out there in the KBO as well. And with Jae Hung, he has been able to do a solid job so far this year. He's had 2 starts, a combined 11 innings, and he has not given up a home run, which is solid. In his first start, he gave up 5 walks. His second start, he gave up 2. But with that said, he has been a guy that has given up hard contact throughout his career. Last year, he wound up giving up right around 0.9 home runs per 9 innings, but it's more the extra bases that he gives up that is a little bit of concern, and his whip as a result was a 153. Meanwhile, you take a look at Wilson, he just got completely lit up in his first start against the NC Dinos, 4 1/3 innings, giving up 7 runs, all of which were earned. His second start looked much more in control against the SK Wyverns. 6 innings pitched, he gave up 2 runs. You got to think that 14-day quarantine period that he went through, as did many of the American-born pitchers, had to take a toll on him. So I think that he's really rounding into form. And when you take a look at LG, we were mentioning it with all the guys that they have in their lineup. Roberto Ramos is tied for the league lead in home runs. He's hitting a 400. Kim Hung-soo is hitting right around a 400 as well. And then Jae Ung-sun, who you may know as the guy that wears the glasses. He's got the mustache. He's been very solid this year. He's hitting just below a 300. He's a solid fielder as well. So God love what he's able to do. And then what we're also noticing with the LG Twins is at the bottom of the lineup has been able to produce as well, especially Lee Sung-woo. He is hitting a 400 so far this year. Last year hit a $156. Now I will say that was in just 64 plate appearances, but he's been getting a couple more opportunities so far this year. He's been able to take them and run with them. And then when you take a look at the other side for what you're going to be able to get out of Samsung, you just don't know, because Tyler Saladino, he came off the injured list yesterday. He's hitting a $148 for the year. I can tell you as a Milwaukee Brewers fan, this guy is no bueno. And then you've got a bunch of guys at the top of the lineup that have been, I would say, overperforming a little bit. Kim Dong-yup, he's hitting a 296 for the year, hit a 215 last year. Kim Sang-soo, he's hitting a 351, he hit a 271 last year, but they don't necessarily have a lot of power. Kuja Wook had a home run yesterday that was big. He had a combined 35 in his previous 2 years, but this once again is a guy that he's not necessarily consistent with it. He'll go off and he'll have a good stretch in one game, and then the next couple games you just don't know what's going to happen there. I think that Samsung has been using its bullpen a lot, and it's going to take its toll, but I think that LG going to be able to get a very good start out of Wilson, and I think that they get the job done by something a little bit more feasible, like a 5-2, 6-2 style game. So we're going to be taking this total under, and we're going to be laying it here with the Twins, and we wrap things up with the Wyverns and the Heroes. This is game number 304-619, 304-620. The visiting Wyverns are finding themselves as a pretty sizable underdog in this spot. You're going to be finding them anywhere between plus 145 to plus 155. Meanwhile, if you're looking to lay it with the Kiwoom Heroes, this is anywhere between minus 165 and minus 180. And your total on this game, it is 10.5. The over is just of minus 105. The under is minus 115. And for the Heroes, they are going to be trotting out there one of the Korean native pitchers, as it is going to be Lee Sung-ho going for them. Meanwhile, Park Jung-hoon is going to be taking the mound for the SK Wyverns. And I actually think that this is a good spot for the Wyverns. Jung-hoon is actually one of the better guys that you're going to find for SK. He's got a 3.60 ERA this year, 3.88 ERA last year, and he's not necessarily the world's greatest innings eater, but he does a nice job of being able to keep the ball in the yard. Sometimes gets a little bit over anxious with the walks. He gave up over 3 walks per 9 innings last year, but so far this year, just 3 walks in 2 starts. He's been able to get the job done there. A little bit more of a pitch to contact guy, but with Kiwoom, what we know is that Taylor Motter has been sent to the minors because he's absolutely awful, and we are noticing that Byung-ho Park, who led the KBO in home runs last year, he's struggling so far this year. 191 average. He's only went deep twice. He had 33 home runs last year despite the ball being de-juiced. What has really been big for the Heroes is the fact that 1 through 3 have been able to pick it up, including Lee Jung-hoo. This is someone that you got to feel like he's starting to find his power a little bit more. He had just 14 home runs in the KBO in his first 3 years. He's already got 3 so far this year. He's hitting a 404. Got to think that that's going to regress a little bit. You do have to like the fact that Kiwoom 1 through 9 has one of the more solid lineups that you're going to find. Maybe not a whole bunch of power, but someone like a Kim Hae-sung, who's just 21 years old. He's been hitting at 273 so far this year in the 7-0. He's a guy with 5 career home runs, but he does a nice job of just being able to find a way on. That's what Kiwoom is really all about. But with SK, you got to think that there's going to be a little bit of an eruption when it comes to the power as well. You've got Han Dong-min, who has really been carrying the mail for this team. 5 home runs so far this year. He's hitting at 341. Jamie Romack, he was second in the KBO when it came to home runs last year with 29. Just 1 so far this year. I think that that's going to pick up a little bit. I will say that the bottom of the lineup for the SK Wyverns has been very bad. Jung Hun is hitting a $167. Kim Chang-pung has been hitting a 235 so far this year, which is sadly a rise from the $178 that he hit last year, so there certainly is a little bit of that going on. I do have a feeling that this is going to be a lower scoring game, but I do think that in the end, SK, who had one of the better bullpens in the KBO last year, they're going to be able to figure out the Kiwoom Heroes really had to go into that bullpen deep yesterday. I think that they're going to get an okay, not great, but not awful start from Sing Young-ho, who is a 5.59 ERA so far this year. He got lit up in his last start against Samsung. Against Hanwha in his first start, he was able to do a much more solid job. He does a solid job of being able to just keep the game out in front of him. He had a little bit of a walks issue last year. He seems to have a little bit of better command this year. And then when you take a look at Park Jung-hoon, I really have a lot of faith in him being able to give the SK Wyverns 6 strong. So for that reason, we are going to be taking the SK Wyverns with the plus price and the total under, and that will wrap things up for the Baseball Betting Podcast on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon for the Wednesday morning games. A big thanks to Anna Quick for joining me in the last segment, and if you like what you're hearing from this fine podcast, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. And if you ever have a question for the podcast, write it into my timeline at Jaren41. Hopefully you're all safe, healthy, and doing well. I'll talk to you guys once again tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in.
If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.